Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Katie. This is Penny, Pet and Parent Longevity. And today we are talking about something very interesting, not necessarily one of the, aside something baked in one of the 7 pillars. So today we're talking about bodywork and hands-on therapies. And if you're like, what does this even mean? To give you some context, this falls under the pillar of movement and alignment. So we're really talking about therapies that we can use on ourselves and on our pets that support the body physically from almost like, Penny, how would you explain it? Almost like a structural.
Yeah, very much so. So rather than the internals of the body, which we're often talking about in terms of the cellular optimization, the way the systems are moving, the way everything's connected on the inside, this is much more looking at the framework, like what is holding your body together, and how having freedom in that enables other parts of your longevity and health to flourish.
Yeah, beautifully said. So we're going to be diving into many different aspects of this today because there are so many different interesting branches. You may have heard of some of these, you may not, but I guarantee there's something for everyone here. Penny, you and I, before we started recording, we were talking about how much we learned during the conversations that we had during the summits and workshops that we've had with folks who are, experts in these fields. So we're going to be talking a lot about fascia. We're going to be talking about osteopathy, chiropractic, healing touch. What else? Is there anything I'm forgetting? These are, and again, they're all kind of within the same category of the structural piece, but looking at slightly different perspectives on it.
And how using your hands to manipulate body, whether it's for another person or whether it's for your pets. So it's touch therapy, but very much so in a medical and both preventative and restorative fashion. So there's 2 sides to this. It doesn't have to just wait until something goes wrong before you think, oh, well, I've really sore shoulder from playing tennis, I'll go have a massage, right? That kind of thing. But we're talking about also how can we work with that proactively to keep full flexibility, to keep full mobility. When I say mobility, I'm talking about, the ability to, create shapes with your body and move your limbs and things around, but also the mobility inside your body, because you know that your nerves are on a communication pathway, for example. So when your spine, which is going to carry a whole lot of nerves through that spinal column, when that is twisted, pinched, squeezed, bent, whatever, those neurons aren't firing on their pathway properly. But when you straighten back up again, now things communication messages work better, but also that pain disappears. So there's both angles here.
It's a really interesting point that we're really talking about communication.
Very much so.
And same when it comes to the fascia. So fascia is this connected tissue that's under our skin, and it kind of holds everything in place, if you will, but it can really more or less get too tight in areas, too loose in other areas. And it's really
kind of like a sheet on the bed. Do you know, like when you've got that sheet that goes around the mattress, right? But then the dog comes onto the bed and starts doing this and ruckles up that sheet, and now it's all clumpy and you feel funny because it's like, oh, this is a really and you can't move so well, right? So you don't want your fascia sort of clumping up, pinching, gathering, sitting there, and then locking you into a position, because you don't now have that fluidity that you had before when it was all nice and smooth.
Exactly. So this is really relevant to your point, Penny. This is relevant not just for folks or pets who might be dealing with pain. Yes, absolutely. But we can get to it before it gets to that point and really improve things like you said, communication, detoxification, because our lymph system is involved, our circulation. We talked about in our conversation with Deanna, we talked about trauma being stored in the fascia, and how this is actually really supportive of mental and emotional health. So, we're really looking at it from all angles here. But if you do get to the point of really needing some intense, therapies for an issue that already exists, this is going to be absolutely incredible for you too. And the beauty of all this is that all of these folks from experts from the summits, we're really focusing on things you can do at home so that you can be empowered with these tools to support your body, support your pet's body. So yes, can you seek out an expert to do this hands-on work instead of you? 110%. But we also don't want you to feel like you can't do it at home, because you absolutely can. And I want to just kind of share really briefly about what happened with Peanut. And
oh yeah, no, do. That's a really good story.
So after the summit in February, we had Deanna Hansen on, who's an expert in fascia, and Dr. Marlene Siegel joined her, and they're actually creating a program for pets too. But she was speaking on it from the human side, and I was like, wow, this is so fascinating. This is something I've heard about, but I've never really experienced it. And then Dr. Marlene comes in, and they're talking about how you can do this for your pets. And they shared some powerful, I mean, like, powerful is not even a big enough word, really incredible transformative videos of dogs that they used their hands with, who had intervertebral disc disease, which is essentially degeneration of the spine, and how it helps them walk again. I mean, we saw a dog go from literally not being able to stand up to running around within, I think it was a matter of days. And this really resonated with me because Peanut was diagnosed with intervertebral disc disease, oh my gosh, 6 years ago, maybe. And at that time, they were like, wow, it's really far progressed. 6 years later, she's still doing okay. Now, we've had to make a lot of lifestyle changes. She's not allowed to go up and down stairs and, all these different things. But she's had times in the past where she has essentially a flare up and she's in excruciating pain. She can't get comfortable. And you can see like her tail goes to the side and her spine's all, oh my gosh, it's so awful. It's so, and her, she's gotten like a hunch in her spine over the year, in her back over the years. And the only treatment options that we've been given traditionally are surgery, but we're not going to go that route. She's not a great candidate for it. And so we've been doing things like pulse electromagnetic frequencies and, herbs for pain and things. But this idea of fascia work could help, was just like, oh my gosh, I have to try this. So this program that they have is not yet available to folks. Being a co-founder of Pet and Parent Longevity, I have some little perks. So I was able to connect with Deanna, and we did one 30-minute session over Zoom, where she was showing me some things I can do with my hands to help to help with her fascia. What we found was she had a lot of like loose skin around her chest, her upper back, like her shoulder, neck area. And in fact, it's something like we always joke about, my husband and I, like, watch so much loose skin right here. Like, what's happening? You just like grab it by the handful. But then as I was working my way up the spine, I couldn't even, where her back was so hunched, I couldn't even pinch a tiny bit. And so Deanna was explaining that it's because of the fascia is pulled down in the front and super tight in the back. And so she showed me how to bring more movement into that area all the way along the spine. Her flare-ups were getting to be really frequent. They were getting to be like one every other month. And in between, we could see she was still struggling. I kid you not, after one 30-minute session, her back was already flatter, and she has not had a flare-up since then. And not only has she not had a flare-up, but she's moving better than she has in literally years. And now when I do the exercises with her, she has plenty of like skin that I can pull on in the back. It's much more fluid. It's much easier. She was actually starting to get a little bit of immobility in her back legs, which is like what was freaking me out. Was like, oh my God, I cannot get to that point where she can't walk. Like, that's just going to be detrimental to her. She walks fine now, moving around like a little, I call her ATP, like a little, anyway, her name's Peanut. She's like a little floor, she's going up and down over the terrain, and like she's all low to the ground. It's so cute. And she hasn't moved like this in years. So.
And just out of curiosity, where's her tail position now? Like, is it still skewing or is it in alignment?
It's perfectly in alignment. And she actually like moves it more, like she wags it more now
Mhm.
as well. The other day, she did like a little downward dog movement. I couldn't believe it's the first time she's done that in maybe 3 years. Like she hasn't had the mobility to do it.
So that's really interesting because that position is called a play bow. And that's how dogs will initiate an invitation. I'm friendly. I think you're friendly. We're getting on great. Shall we go play? It's a really important part of their positive welfare, their lifestyle of joy and just being a dog. And if you can't go into the play bow position, how do you communicate that to someone that you meet in the dog park, to your furry friends when they come over to the house? Like that piece of you is right, that's a huge detriment into her mental health life, right? And so to be able to come back and have that, I kind of, it's like taking someone's phone away or something. Like you would just be bereft without this ability to connect with your friends in that way. So that's a huge thing for her quality of life. It sounds like such a small thing. Oh, she can do this movement again, but actually the repercussions of that are enormous.
Massive. It's massive. And it looks like, yeah, I mean, she like had just woken up from a nap and she was like stretching. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it's her ability, we're always talking about like the quality of life. And this has given her back so much quality of life. And it's been so, like, I can't tell you how easy it is. Like, it's the stupidest, easiest thing. Like, I'm like, why do we not know this? Like, it's just so easy. And it makes
And
so
here's
much
the
sense.
thing,
And she likes it. She likes when I do it.
what some of the things that we talk about with our 7 pillars and some of the topics that we've dived into require a little bit more of your time involved, right? If you're going to be someone who brushes their pet's teeth, bless you, you're amazing. But that's a chunk of time that you're doing every day now, right? Body work is you can do for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's pleasurable for you both because there's that loving contact, there's that we're hanging out together, it feels nice, I get to mush on you and you get to like appreciate the feeling of that, and so that yeah, there's no downside to this. But fascia, to your point, is I don't think many people have heard of it. It's relatively newly understood. I mean, some of the papers and things that I'm reading about it talks about it as an organ. Like they're really classing it as so significant in the body, this entire system that has massive repercussions. And so it's not something to just go, oh, it's the latest fad word or some weird kooky thing. No, this is, I mean, if you didn't have fascia, you'd be a puddle on the floor, sort of. I mean, not quite because you've got bones, but like it really is keeping you where you're supposed to be. I mean, we joked the other day about the wandering womb belief from, back in several hundred years ago, right? But if we didn't have fascia, that's probably actually a thing that would have happened, like, and not just a wandering womb, but a wandering kidney and a wandering lung. So it's something that I think everybody can learn something from. And even if you're not fascinated by the way we are, the practical outworkings of what you can do with this, whether that is see, Dr. Edward has his healing touch modalities and talks about how you can do that at home. And that's really to take away from our pets this epidemic of silent pain that they're suffering from. I can't remember his exact statistics, but it was something like 70% of pets are suffering from pain. And we literally have no idea because they're being very stoic and holding it in and not showing it. And so do we want our pets to be going through life like that and can't even ask for, not that we'd give them an aspirin, but they can't even ask for something, right? So doing this body work is going to alleviate their suffering. That's a pretty key thing to know about. And 2 minutes on the sofa when they're sat next to you and you can just do this thing. I mean, how amazing is that? And then, the chiropractic work, and Tony Nevin talks about how you can use the hands to manipulate. It's not just bones that we're talking about. We're talking about so there's just great diversity and richness in this that I think is a forgotten modality. So often this is not paid attention to. And there is that physical healing side, that release, that alignment, that removal of pain. But there is also that emotional and bond side of it, of just being connected and doing nice things, and helping someone feel better.
Yeah, Dr. James, he's a chiropractor. He was speaking about how doing proper adjustments actually affect the nervous system and can really support
Right.
to have like nervous system dysfunction that affects gut health. And so it like, this is just, it cascades in everything. We always say like everything is connected. You can't adjust one thing. You can't focus on one thing without it affecting everything else. And so I think you're spot on in saying that this is often an overlooked aspect of a healing approach to look at the structure of the body. So
and we know as well that the release of communication, or the restoring of proper flow of communication, proper flow of lymphatic fluids through the body, the proper electrical signaling with your neurons, all of that has massive downstream effects as well. So it's we think originally that, okay, bodywork and this kind of manipulation falls under the pillar of exercise and alignment, and it does, but it really does also come under the mental health one as well, with those positive things and the ability to do a play bow and make friends and be socially connected again. But realistically, it's probably every pillar as always, because it's going to be connected to detox with your lymph and a bunch of other things as well.
So this month we have a lot in store for you. So obviously we still have our Spark Guide. We still have obviously the masterclasses we've been talking a lot about. We have our live Q&A. Remember, you can always submit your questions ahead of time if you can't come live, and you can catch the recording. So we'll get to those. But we also have a little surprise for you this month. You guys know we're always trying to just give you more for being in the Rejuve community. So drum roll, please. This month we are bringing you a live in-person workshop with Deanna and Dr. Marlene, all about their brand new pet fascia program. So this is essentially the fleshed out version of what I
see what you did there.
That was certainly intentional. What I've been able to do with Peanut and again, that was with one session with her, and they're doing an entire program on this. So I am so incredibly thrilled to go through this program, because I know there's just so many more benefits to be had. Deanna already has an incredible program for humans.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my blocks for block therapy. My blocks are hanging over here. But now we're going to be able to bring it to our pets. So please join us live. You guys get to come for free. You'll get the recording on your portal for as long as you're in the Rejuvenate community. So you can always go back and rewatch that. And they might be doing some kind of a little special offer. Who knows? And we will see. But they haven't even officially launched their.
I was just going to say, but this is a really big deal, I think, because like you were saying before, you kind of, as part and pet parent, I get it like a sneak free. I get it to have access, and everyone's sitting in the audience going, I'm so jealous, right? So here we go. We can actually open this up to you guys too. You can have that special red carpet treatment. It's not released to the public yet. This is the first workshop. We're very blessed that they said yes to come and do this. And guys, so a full workshop on this to ask your questions as well, but also learn, what does this mean? How is it going to be important for me? What could it do for my pet? And set you up for just introducing this modality into your life without having to wait for it to be a real program and all the rest of it. So exciting.
After the summit, when they spoke, they had shared that they were going to be, that they were working on creating this course. And we got so many emails from everyone saying, wait, there's no link to sign up. What? We're like, okay, it's not ready yet though, like just hang tight. And so we were like, okay, let us know when it's getting there, because our community is so excited about this. And as a reminder, if you were a VIP for any of our past summits, when you're watching these videos in the masterclass and there's a snippet that you see that you're like, oh, I want to learn more about that, it says like, okay, this is what we'll just keep using the example of Deanna Hansen, taken from this summit, and it'll tell you what summit it is. And if you were a VIP, you have those recordings there. So you can, it's really kind of a gateway into expanding your knowledge base so that you can learn more about it. So if you have access to those, you can watch any of those full recordings to learn more about any of these incredible areas of hands-on therapies, body work, and so forth. So this is a really great month. We're really, really excited to share all of these resources with you. And yeah, anything else, Penny?
Just that I think this is a modality that's escaped most people's radar. And yet it applies to absolutely every person and absolutely every pet. It's not like, oh, well, I already have a fantastic diet. I don't need to learn anything more about nutrition, right? There's always something more to learn, but I appreciate that you might have tapped out on that. That's fine. But this is one that really literally is for absolutely everybody, because it's so new. It's so revolutionary in terms of the therapeutic effects, the healing effects, the transformations that are possible with this. You actually will probably be surprised. I mean, I know you were super surprised with the capabilities of what that one session brought you. And certainly the other videos that I've seen, the testimonies of before and after, it's almost too good to be true. So don't miss out on too good to be true. Make that real in your life, and your pets will thank you.
Beautiful. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you at the workshop. It's the last Thursday in June, but more details to come. So until then, catch up on all of this info so that you are up to speed going into the workshop, and we will see you then.
Bye, guys.